1943, the Allis-Chalmers Tractor Works, Springfield, Illinois. A machine rolls off the assembly line that looks like nothing any soldier has ever seen. It is squat, flat-topped, and featureless. It carries no turret, no cannon, no armor plate of any kind. Its cab is an open steel box with canvas seats stuffed with blankets. Its rear end is a wooden ammunition crate bolted over a winch. It weighs 18 tons, and it looks like a farm tractor that wandered onto a military base by accident. It looked useless. It looked like a mistake. Over the next 2 years, machines exactly like this one would tow the heaviest guns in the Allied arsenal across North Africa, through the mountains of Italy, onto the beaches of Normandy, through the frozen Ardennes, over the Rhine, and deep into the heart of Nazi Germany. They would haul the 155mm long tom, the 8-inch howitzer, and the 90mm anti-aircraft gun, weapons whose shells destroyed bunkers, shattered bridges, and broke open the Siegfried Line when nothing else could reach. More than 5,800 would be built, and without them the heaviest American artillery would have been stranded at the roadside while the war moved on. Its designation was the M4 high-speed tractor. It was the ugliest, most important vehicle nobody remembers. To understand why the M4 existed, you need to understand the problem the United States Army faced in 1942. America possessed some of the most powerful artillery pieces on Earth. The 155mm gun M1, known as the Long Tom, could throw a 95-pound shell more than 23 kilometers. The 8-inch howitzer M1 could drop a 200-pound round with pinpoint accuracy at nearly 17 kilometers. The 240mm howitzer M1, nicknamed the Black Dragon, fired a 360-pound shell that could collapse a reinforced concrete bunker from the inside out. These were devastating weapons, and none of them could move. The Army's pre-war solution was the Mackinac truck, a wheeled 6x6 that could tow a long tom down a paved French road at reasonable speed. The moment that road turned to mud, the Mack sank to its axles. The alternative was even worse. Commercial Caterpillar tractors, the same machines used to grade highways and clear farmland, could pull anything through anything, but they crawled at barely 12 kilometers per hour. In a war of rapid armored advance, where Patton's tanks covered 50 miles in a day, artillery that moved at walking pace was artillery that arrived too late. The Army needed a vehicle that could do 3 things simultaneously: carry the gun crew, haul 30,000 pounds of artillery at road speed, and keep moving when the road disappeared. That vehicle did not exist. So the Ordnance Department asked Allis-Chalmers, a Wisconsin company that had never built a military vehicle in its life, to invent one. The result was a masterwork of agricultural logic applied to military engineering. Allis-Chalmers gave the M4 a fully tracked chassis using the same horizontal volute spring suspension and road wheels as the M4 Sherman medium tank. This meant parts commonality across the entire armoured fleet, a logistician's dream. Power came from a Waukesha 145GZ inline 6-cylinder gasoline engine, producing 210 horsepower, enough to push the loaded tractor to 35 miles per hour on roads, 3 times faster than the Caterpillars it replaced. A 3-speed selective gearbox with controlled differential steering kept the drivetrain simple and repairable in the field. The vehicle itself measured just over 16 feet long, 8 feet wide and 8 feet tall. Combat-loaded weight reached 36,000 pounds. Fuel capacity was 125 gallons of gasoline, giving a cruising range of roughly 180 miles, enough to keep pace with a full day's armoured advance without refueling. A Garwood winch mounted beneath the rear ammunition box delivered 30,000 pounds of pull through 300 feet of steel cable, essential for dragging guns into firing positions on soft ground or steep hillsides. The only weapon was a single .50 caliber Browning machine gun on a ring mount above the cab, with 500 rounds. The M4 had no armour whatsoever. Its crew of 11, driver and 2 men up front plus 8 in the rear, rode in the open air. 2 variants defined the ammunition layout. Class A carried racks for 90mm anti-aircraft shells. Class B carried 155mm, 8-inch, or 240mm projectiles, and mounted a permanently installed rear crane capable of lifting the heaviest rounds without external equipment. That crane was transformative. A 200-pound 8-inch shell could not be manhandled by tired men in freezing rain. The crane made sustained fire possible. Now, before we get into where this tractor actually fought and what it made possible on the battlefield, if you are enjoying this deep dive into Allied military engineering, hit subscribe. It takes a second, costs nothing, and helps the channel grow. The M4 missed the fighting in Tunisia entirely. The first long tom shells fired in Europe by Battery A of the 1st Battalion, 36th Field Artillery Regiment near Mejez el Bab on December 24, 1942, were hauled into position by wheeled Mack trucks. The M4 had not yet entered production. Italy changed everything. By late 1943, M4 tractors were the standard prime movers for corps-level heavy artillery across the Italian front. A widely reproduced photograph from the National Archives shows Battery A of the 194th Field Artillery Battalion firing on Mount Camino on December 3, 1943, with M4s visible in the background. At Anzio, surviving newsreel footage from the second day of the harbour invasion shows an M4 towing a long tom into firing position under shell fire, but it was the campaign across France and into Germany where the M4 proved its true worth. The tractor came ashore at Normandy not on June 6, but in the build-up that followed, with corps-level heavy battalions crossing the Channel through late June and July of 1944. Once Operation Cobra broke the front open, M4 tractors enabled the kind of road marches that defined the Allied advance. The 244th Field Artillery Battalion offers the clearest documented proof. On September 1, 1944, the battalion moved 176 miles in a single day from Namur to Fresnes-en-Vouvre, towing 30,000-pound long toms behind their M4s at highway speed. Lieutenant Thomas Marriott's records describe the battalion going into position, firing all night, limbering up at dawn, and moving again, repeating the process day after day across eastern France. At Aachen in October 1944, the guns the M4 towed proved decisive. The 19th Corps after-action report concluded that only 155mm guns or 8-inch howitzers could penetrate Siegfried Line pillboxes, and only after 3 to 5 direct hits. On October 11th, American artillery fired roughly 5,000 shells in a single day, dropping 169 short tons of explosives onto German fortifications. During the Battle of the Bulge, M4 towed long toms and 8-inch howitzers delivered the bulk of American heavy counter-battery fire. The 244th Field Artillery Battalion's records preserve a remarkable detail. Captured German 88mm guns were hitched to M4s and towed into firing positions to be used against German pockets between the First and Third Armies. American gunners kept their American tractors running with bearings stripped from captured German vehicles when replacement parts could not be found. In March 1945, the M4 helped deliver the firepower for Operation Plunder, the crossing of the Rhine. Between 4,000 and 5,000 Allied guns fired a 4-hour barrage on March 23. In the Pacific, M4s towed long toms onto Kaseshima off Okinawa on March 31, 1945, where the 420th Field Artillery Group registered fire on southern Okinawa within hours of landing. Japanese command records noted that the long toms incessantly obstructed their movements. The 244th Field Artillery Battalion finished the war in Hradec-Usucis, Czechoslovakia, on May 7, 1945. Czech photographs identify a specific Baker Battery M4 marked 3A244 parked on a runway beside its long tom. On paper, the German SDKFZ-7 half-track looked like a perfectly adequate rival. It was versatile, carried 12 men, towed the famous 88, and more than 12,000 were built, but its overlapping interleaved road wheels packed with mud and froze solid in Russian and Belgian winters, creating a maintenance disaster the M4's simple suspension bogies entirely avoided. The German RSO, the Raupenschlepper Ost, was a true fully tracked vehicle, but it topped out at 11 miles per hour. It was a mud specialist, not a mobile warfare prime mover. Soviet equivalents were even slower. The Stalinets S-65 agricultural tractor, the Red Army's primary heavy gun hauler, crawled at barely 4 miles per hour. The M4's combination of 35 mile per hour road speed, full tracks, integrated ammunition stowage with crane, and American mass production volume had no genuine peer. Within the American family, the M5 high-speed tractor handled lighter loads, 105 and 155mm howitzers, while the twin-engined M6 handled the super-heavy 240mm howitzer and 8-inch gun. The M4 sat in the middle, the volume workhorse of American heavy artillery. Roughly 5,811 M4s were built between 1943 and 1945, all by Allis-Chalmers. After the war, the tractor served through Korea, towing long toms and 8-inch howitzers behind the advancing and retreating front lines. Through the Mutual Defense Assistance Program, M4s were shipped to Greece, the Netherlands, Japan, Brazil, Yugoslavia, Belgium, Austria, and Pakistan. Pakistani crews used M4s to tow 8-inch howitzers during the 1965 war with India, the tractor's last confirmed combat. Austrian examples served until 1970. The M4 was ultimately made obsolete not by a better tractor, but by a different concept entirely: self-propelled artillery that put the gun on its own tracked chassis and eliminated the prime mover altogether. Survivors sit in museums from Fort Sill in Oklahoma to Braschaat in Belgium to Soesterberg in the Netherlands, with running examples still operating in private hands. 1943, Springfield, Illinois. A flat, graceless, unarmoured box on tracks rolls off an assembly line built by a company that made farm equipment. It carries no gun. It wears no armour. It will never fire a shot. It was underpowered for its weight. It burned fuel at a catastrophic rate. It offered its crew no protection from shrapnel, weather, or small arms fire. It had no night vision, no heating, and no radio of its own, and yet it worked. It worked in the mud of Anzio, on the mountain roads of Italy, across the hedgerows of Normandy, through the frozen forests of the Ardennes, over the Rhine, and into the rubble of the Reich. It delivered the heaviest American guns to the places where those guns decided battles, and it delivered them on time. The M4 high-speed tractor was not elegant. It was not famous. It was not the kind of machine that wins glory or earns a nickname. It was the kind of machine that wins wars by solving the oldest problem in artillery, getting the gun to the fight before the fight is over. 5,800 built, every continent, every campaign. That is not luck. That is American industrial logic applied to the hardest problem on the battlefield.